Welcome to Marepolis. Quite literally, actually. For 13 years of our lives, we've lived in the city as ordinary citizens.
But we were sent back in time via quantum time travel machine not too long ago to present to you our city. For you see, the founders of Maropolis are in fact us.
We were sent here to ensure that the creation of our city happens in the first place. And what better place to start than the Future City competition?
And at a growing population of approximately 1 million people,
-3, of course.
Maropolis is easily one of the best locations to revolutionize into an agricultural powerhouse with its plentiful rivers and fitting topography. It is where Chongqing, China would be today, which is set on the Yangtze River and surrounded by mountains.
The most important part of our city is the agricultural system that it uses, aquaponics.
Aquaponics is a system of agriculture in which the waste produced by farmed fish is used as a fertilizer for hydroponically grown plants, which in turn purify water that is returned to the fish.
Since citizens need both a protein and vegetable food source, aquaponics is perfect. It relies on the interdependency of fish, or protein, and vegetables. Specifically, our city harvests tilapia and watercress.
The fish live in man-made bays where they are fed and cared for. Surrounding these bays are greenhouses with everyone's favorite salad ingredient.
Dressing?
No, lettuce. Piping runs between these two systems to transport tilapia excrement as a fertilizer.
The teams of workers and scientists ensure that the
Teams of workers and scientists ensure that the plants are well cared for, and they make sure that the ammonia levels of the water and pH levels are all okay for the plants.
The plants hang from a hexagonal frame in long boxes where water is let out periodically by sprinklers.
The hexagonal frames rotate to allow every plant to receive equal nourishment, sunlight, and water.
But why did the city do this?
Well, one of the biggest problems with agriculture nowadays is that it takes up too much space. Acres of land that could be used for other things, such as urban space, is wasted on vast fields of crops.
In Maropolis, this is no longer a problem. The greenhouses have the capability to grow as many crops as a field without relying on pollution-causing machines like tractors.
Furthermore, many chemical fertilizers nowadays are very harmful to the environment. Our natural fish excrement is completely safe, completely organic, and it's completely free.
Well, but we do need some help keeping Maropolis functioning properly. Chemical engineers are required to regularly maintain chemical levels in the fertilizer and water so that our food remains healthy. And agricultural engineers also play a large part, as they are familiar with agricultural equipment and the best way to utilize soil and water.
However, this does mean that a very large amount of manpower is dedicated to keeping aquaponics running smoothly. Also, since a lot of river space is taken up by tilapia farms, there is less space for aquatic transportation, such as boats.
But hey, maybe lack of space is just because we have a giant domesticated sea monster named Sam inhabiting them.
Well, he's adopted a vegetarian diet, but sometimes we find our lettuce and we can't yell at him though because of his gosh darn cute face.
But the whole farming thing isn't the only interesting part of our home. The city has made a pledge to run on only renewable energy and has a strict policy to conserve the amount of wasted material. This affects everything from energy usage at home to our transportation system. Even the artificial sunlight bulbs are solar powered.
Maropolis utilizes the alternative energy sources of solar, wind, and hydroelectric power. These generate power that is directly utilized in our city.
To ensure minimal traffic congestion, all parking lots in Maropolis are underground. This provides more space and keeps less cars parked on the side of the street. The electric cars in Maropolis are also city-owned, meaning essentially the city has a library of cars.
It's basically a fast-paced rental system without the hassle or the paperwork. A citizen checks one out with their license at a lot, and then they pay for the mileage when they check it back in.
Because citizens don't own the cars, they can't leave their belongings behind, which reduces car theft and damages by tenfold.
Learning to drive a car also encourages citizens to walk or ride a bike instead.
This means that there's a lot more space on the road for emergency transportation, such as police cars, ambulances, and fire prevention.
But besides cars, Maropolis also has a wide array of public transportation.
There is an above-ground maglev bullet train system, similar to subways in this time period, along with a network of buses.
Driverless buses, you mean?
But wouldn't that be redundant? I mean, what kind of buses still have drivers anyway? What are we, in 2015? Oh, wait.
Their routes are programmed into the vehicles, and they can detect other buses, buildings, cars, and people.
But aside from that, Maropolis is also beautified by these rooftop gardens that adorn the roofs of many buildings. The tradition was started when the city was first built to reduce the larger amount of pollution in the air, and it has endured since.
Even this university building has a rooftop garden. Sometimes the students need a bit of unwinding in nature too.
This building is part of the Lee Academy of Science, the college my sister went to. It's located conveniently near the greenhouses, where freshmen and sophomores often take field trips to the exciting structures and plants.
The university also utilizes a plethora of state-of-the-art technology, such as electronic tablets that store the data of all your textbooks and holographic projections of the whiteboard on your desk.
But of course, that's not the only academic pride in our city. Right across the street is the library with an observation dome, perfect for astronomy or just a relaxing night of looking at the stars.
As you can see, this section of Maropolis has a variety of other buildings too.
There are industrial buildings, residential buildings, and commercial buildings. These are the apartments where citizens live comfortable lives. These are the greenhouses where the plants are grown, and the bay where sand and the fish are kept.
This is the City Hall of Maropolis. It's where city officials work.
It keeps track of the departments of health, fire, police, finance.
It also has quite a unique design to it, with a circular elevator in the middle that serves as the main lobby and connector from the court to the other offices.
It stands about 80 feet tall to accommodate all of its workers.
That's about 4 inches here, a scale of 1 inch to 20 feet.
But of course, the most important buildings in Maropolis are greenhouses.
They take up a very large amount of space because they are so important. Once the system of aquaponics was established, the city flowered around it.
Your time is up. Please end your presentation.
Thank you for your time.
When thinking back on building your model, what was the best piece of advice that you received from your mentor or teacher?
Probably not to overestimate how much supplies we have. We had a lot of tissue boxes in the beginning, but once we started using them, we realized that it wasn't enough.
Also, he advised us not to procrastinate, which is a lesson we greatly valued.
It wasn't entirely taken to heart, though.
Very good job. Which part of the engineering process was the most challenging for your team and why?
I would say that it would be designing the layout of the city because we had to try to represent our city through only a small section of it while still keeping 3 of its own industrial, commercial, residential, but making it so that it would make sense in a real life city.
It would have to be realistic, so we couldn't clump like all of the residential together, all of the industrial together.
The buildings were spread out, and so that it would make sense in a real city.
How is your urban farm solution energy efficient?
Well, like Catherine said, there are tractors which are really pollutive, and they also take a lot. They use up a lot of energy. Our city uses workers to to harvest the plants and grow them, so it uses less fossil fuels and workers.
It's pretty self-sufficient. Basically, the fish waste gets sent to the watercress where it's used as fertilizer, and then the watercress would purify the water, which is then pumped back into the bay.
Self-purifying and also self-fertilizing.
Thank you.
Very good.